Inspiring interviews with today's top landlords. This is the Rental Income Podcast. And now, Dan Lane.
Tyler, I wanted to bring you on the podcast today because you're doing something pretty interesting. You're building new properties to rent out. What are some of the advantages to building a new property versus buying a property and fixing it up?
Well, there's quite a few. First of all, things like cost segregation for taxes are more obvious because you have like line item by line item, costs of construction. You also have a pretty good spread typically between the cost of construction and what they're worth, as complete. You have lower ongoing operating expenses, at least for the first 5 to 10 years, because all your major systems are brand new. That means lower CapEx budgets, lower repair budgets for a period of time. Insurance costs are typically less as well. And then you get typically higher rents and higher tenant quality. So less delinquency, less vacancy, credit loss. I've found it to be very, very beneficial.
On the podcast today, we're going to learn more about this. We'll see what's involved in building a new property. We'll take a look at the numbers and see how everything has been working out for Tyler. Joining us on the show today from Pittsburgh, Kansas is Tyler Casey. We'll take a quick break to thank our sponsors. We'll come right back and we'll talk to Tyler. It's a lot of work to find a really good rental property. And when you actually find that property, you want to make sure you're working with a lender that can get that loan closed. The lender that I recommend is Chaley Ridge from Ridge Lending Group. She's a nationwide lender, and her specialty is helping investors finance rental properties. She has a ton of loan programs, and she can find something customized to you for your situation. If you want to find out more or you're ready to get started today, just go to ridgelendinggroup.com. That's RIDGE lendinggroup.com, NMLS 42056. Are you thinking about investing in rental properties, but maybe you don't know where to start? My friends at Mid-South Home Buyers make it simple. For over 23 years, they've been selling fully renovated turnkey rental properties in Memphis and Little Rock. We're talking new roofs, plumbing, electric, kitchens, bathrooms. Everything is brand new and done right. And here's the best part. Every property comes with a well-qualified tenant in place before you close. That means you get cash flow from day one. Plus, Mid-South continues to professionally manage the property for you after the sale, and they back it up with 2 powerful guarantees. You get a 1-year total maintenance warranty and a lifetime occupancy guarantee. Personally, I've bought 5 properties from them, and I couldn't be happier. If you want to talk to someone that's been through the process, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you're ready to get started, just go to midsouthhomebuyers.com. That's midsouthhomebuyers.com. We'll get into the new construction in a bit, but let's talk about you for a second. Tyler, how did you first get the idea to buy rentals?
So my grandfather, who was an engineer by trade in Tulsa, Oklahoma, he had a stock portfolio as part of his retirement. And he was in his early 50s in 2000 when the dot-com bubble burst, and he lost a lot of money, which he probably should have held it for a couple of years. He would have been fine. But what he did was he sold it, and he put all that money into rental properties. And I used to go down in the summers in high school, and I would help him on his rental properties some as a part-time job, doing like maintenance, fixing toilets, putting new trim down, repairing or replacing flooring, things like that.
And then how did you then get started with your rental properties?
Well, when I was 18 years old, I was a freshman in college, and I had some money saved up from working a little bit for my grandpa, working a little bit for my dad at the country club, working a little bit for a local contractor there in Pittsburgh, Kansas. And when I say a little bit of money, I had a couple $1,000s saved up, but I had also purchased and financed a car and a couple other things. So I had pretty good credit. Um, and I just, again, from learning it from my grandpa, I went and bought a house, which was a 3 bed, 1.5 bath house right by Pittsburgh State University campus. And I lived in one of the rooms and I rented the other 2 rooms out to my friends.
So smart. And to be 18, to be thinking that way, I mean, that is really, really good. So you bought the property, rented out some rooms, and then did you buy more properties while you were in school?
Yeah. So by the time I graduated, I owned 8 homes, and I
Wow.
had fixed up and sold a couple others in that time period as well. And then um, I also was managing about 40 rental properties for people by the time I was a senior in college. So,
Incredible. And trying to get the financing. I mean, I can understand getting one property, but was it hard to get financing to get all the properties that you bought?
it was actually really easy because most of them at the time, this was 2008 to 2010, 12, in that range.
Hmm.
And the banks had tons of other real estate owned or OREO inventory back then.
Hmm.
And when they start out, I guess, as REO, which is just real estate owned in the bank lingo. And then after they've held them for a period of time, they go into other real estate owned category. They haven't sold them. And once they go into that category, a lot of these lenders can get really, really flexible on what they do with financing. Um, so I had a lender who was actually giving me 95% of the purchase price and rehab costs, uh, for their OREO properties at the time. So that's mostly what I was buying was foreclosures from local banks.
Did your parents think you were crazy?
My dad definitely thought I was crazy. Yeah. Um, he was just very much like conservative, thought I should, which I did go to school and I did graduate, but he thought I should go to school, graduate, get a good job, the stability factor.
Yeah.
And my mom was more like, if this is what you want to do, go for it. So it was kind of
Yeah.
a little bit of a mixed bag.
That's awesome. So you bought those properties, and then when you graduated, did you start buying even more properties?
Yeah. So I got my real estate license right as I was graduating, which in Kansas you don't actually have to have a real estate license to manage property. But I thought a lot of my clients were looking for stuff to buy because I already had a few property management clients by that time, like I said. And I thought, well, this was just another way for me to make money in real estate.
Yeah.
So I got my real estate license, and uh, I was buying a ton. I actually owned 48 before I was 24.
Wow. And how many properties do you have today?
My wife and I own about 175 units.
Wow. And how many years has it been since you've been out of college?
I graduated college in 2010,
Okay.
but I did have a partnership as part of those original 50 or so doors. And we had an in-house construction company at that time, and then by that time I also had a real estate brokerage business, and I had partners in a lot of that. And I had a partnership dissolution in 2015, 2016, kind of overlapping the years. And I had to sell all but 5 of that original portfolio I had built to get cash to basically pay everybody off and get 100% of my company back.
Wow. I mean, that's really, really impressive what you've done. I mean, it really just goes to show that anybody can buy rental properties. And that's really, really great. So when did you get into building properties versus buying them?
Well, like I said, we had a general contracting business from 2011 to it was another thing where we just struggled with contractors for ourselves and for our property management business. And I actually went out and recruited a buddy of mine from college who was a superintendent for one of the top 100 commercial contractors in the world at the time, and said, "Come back and partner up with me, and let's build our own real estate investments and rehab our own real estate investments, basically." And so he did that. And at the time, to kind of make the money all work, we were just doing any kind of general contracting work we could do. Like, we did everything from government bid and spec work, like building the Parks and Recreation building and for Parsons, Kansas Department of Parks and Rec, and remodeling the Joplin Mall into the Joplin High School after the Joplin tornado, and building low-income housing projects for cities. So like city of Baxter Springs, Kansas had us build a 32-unit project for them. So we got really well-versed in just general contracting, period, of whatever it was. We even built some custom homes for some friends and some other things, stuff we weren't even necessarily trying to get into. And we started. Really, it wasn't until after the partnership dissolved and I reformed an in-house construction operation in 2020 that we started doing the build to rent.
Okay, so about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so what works best if you're doing a new build? Is it better to get a duplex or a single family or a triplex? Like, what are you building?
So definitely from a cost and return on investment standpoint, I like duplexes the best. Obviously, building single family homes, there's still a spread in value in them. It's just the cost per square foot's a little higher on building a single family home, and the rent is not really that much higher than it is on a per unit basis for building a duplex. And if you build something over a duplex, most cities require you to put in fire suppression systems, which can cost tens of thousands of dollars. So for me, I would rather buy either a single lot or multiple lots that are one parcel and split them up into lots and just build individual duplexes.
Right. Okay. And then do you have like one blueprint that you just keep using over and over again? Or do you come up with a different blueprint every time you build a new property?
So we have like 3 different standard duplex plans that we build. We have a couple others that we, on occasion, like we have acquired through a one-time build that we also plan to build more of now. So we have like 5 kind of plans in-house that we can, ourselves continue to build and also, build for our clients.
And so that just makes it easier that your guys know what to do. You've got everything you need to do that. Is that why you don't go with a new design every time?
Yeah, and you kind of get a little bit more efficient every time you build one. Right. You kind of learn something about like, we can move the electrical service here and it reduces the cost of the service entrance, or basically we've whittled down the cost per duplex on all these and continue to be able to do so a little bit because of just efficiencies.
Right.
And also, when we know exactly how much of quantities of materials we need, we can order, if we have 8 lots out ahead of us, we can order materials for 8 duplexes at a time and then get the cost of those materials down as well.
That makes sense. I mean, just like anything, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. So have you found that there is a certain floor plan or a bedroom, bathroom combination that works best and gets you the biggest bang for your buck?
Pretty much everything we're building is 3-bed, 2-bath on the duplex front. So per unit, so you've got 6 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms in total. A couple of the plans have 1-car garages. Several of them just have like an attached storage shed off the back as well. So a little bit of variation there, but in general, 3-bed, 2-bath is what we've been doing.
Have you found anything that just helps you rent the properties better, that if you build it a certain way or have a certain feature that it attracts tenants or maybe even lowers your maintenance cost?
Well, one thing we're doing is we're building a lot of these on slabs, and we're doing finished concrete flooring. in a lot of them, which actually looks really cool, and it doesn't seem to deter renters. And it saves you from ever having to do new flooring in the property as well. So a reduction in expenses, kind of everything we're doing is geared towards a reduction in ongoing maintenance costs. On the outside, we're doing like all vinyl siding, sometimes with a little bit of stone veneer on the front, like, a wainscoting 4 foot high or so. And we're doing like all metal and vinyl wrapped fascia, soffit, window trim, all that. So nothing's exposed. We're doing all single one piece tub shower inserts, so that, nothing can really break down on those. All granite countertops throughout, so that, obviously that's an attractive thing for prospective tenants. It adds to the value of the property, but it also is the lowest maintenance option. Like if you put Formica in, it might cost $1,000 less on the front end. But you're going to end up with and you've all seen them probably. Every real estate investor's probably seen Formica countertops where the edges are peeling back, or there's burn marks on them, or chips out of them, or whatever. They just end up looking terrible pretty quick. So
having a brand new property, is it just night and day between buying a property that's already built that maybe you can rehab? Like, is it worth all the extra work?
Well, it's a lot easier. Actually, the construction process is a lot easier than a rehab, especially a significant rehab. If you can buy a house and put paint and floors in it and rent it out, that's one thing. But if you got to do any kind of, you're going to have to do permitting and stuff on anything much bigger than that anyway on a remodel.
Right.
And then you got a bunch of walls that are out of square. You got a bunch of old systems you got to evaluate, and you don't know where everything's ran. And the construction process on a rehab is actually a nightmare compared to new construction.
Right.
Sometimes can take just as long and cost just as much as well, depending on the situation.
Yeah.
And then you still don't necessarily know exactly what you have when you're done all the time, or have everything brand new.
That's true. And so your maintenance, you mentioned at the beginning, the maintenance is way low.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going to have to replace a HVAC unit or upgrade an electrical system or mess with plumbing for a decade plus, probably. Roof's perfect, brand new for a decade plus. You're not going to have to touch anything for a long time.
Now, talk me through the financing. So how does it work? Like, so when I guess the first thing you're doing is you're buying land. Do you have to pay cash for the land, or are you able to finance that?
Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm buying the land with cash, typically, which is, anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000, depending on the location, the city. We operate in 5 different cities, but and there's a little bit of variation even within the cities. But just to give you an example, I bought 3 lots in Pittsburgh, Kansas, which is a small town in southeast Kansas, but it has a 7,000 person Division II university, so it's a big rental market. For $25,000, so just a little over $8,000 a piece. We've already got plans, our standard plans. We're going to build 3 duplexes right there. Already have permits with the city, already have the loan in place, and we're getting ready to break ground next week. Well, the appraisal came in at $295,500. The bank loaned me $240,000 per duplex, so close to $750,000 in total. My average cost to build each duplex is about $233,000. So I'm roughly, I may be out the holding costs, maybe a couple $1,000 plus the holding costs per duplex to acquire those 3 duplexes.
So just to make sure I understand. So you're with the land cost of about $8,000 and then $233,000 to build the property. So you're all in at about $240,000, and that's what the bank is loaning you?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And then the property appraises for how much?
those particular ones appraised for $295,500. Most of our standard plans, 4 of the 5 that we've been building, have appraised between 290 and 320 almost every time, depending on the location. And then we've got a larger luxury duplex plan that we built that appraises in the 425 to 450 range.
So
similar price per square foot to build, but just a little bit bigger, nicer property.
every time that you build a property, it sounds like you're making about $50,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's not cash in my pocket,
Yeah,
but it's
but equity
on my balance sheet, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
That's great. Okay, so you're all in at 240, and then what would that duplex rent for?
Average about $2,500 a month or $1,250 per unit in our markets. Again, the range could be anywhere from about $1,150 a month per side to, $1,400 a month per side, depending on the location. But average is about $1,250 per unit.
That is really awesome. I mean, you're right at the 1% rule there. So you're getting good rents, you've got equity, and you've got a brand new property at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, they all cash flow really well for me. I mean, it's not like you make a ton when you put that much debt on them, but I mean, I can tell you that my average net on these, which obviously you have like a 6-month build window where you're covering carrying costs and you're not getting paid.
Right.
So that's the one thing. But once you do start getting rental income, once they're kind of stabilized, I've been averaging about $1,900 a month net out of our property management system. So that's after paying, all the repairs and maintenance, management, taxes, insurance. That's another thing. Taxes, insurance are cheaper on new builds, and also just in our areas, they're cheap in general. And the payments are about $1,500 to $1,600 a month. So like maybe a couple $100 a month in positive cash flow average.
Now, I know you've built a lot of houses for your clients, but how many have you built for yourself?
40.
If you want to connect with Tyler and maybe see if he can build a property for you, I've got his contact information on the website. You can find it at rentalincomepodcast.com/episode 536. I'd like to thank Chaley Ridge from Ridge Lending Group for sponsoring today's episode. If you're looking to buy a rental property, whether you're just getting started or you want to add to your portfolio, definitely reach out to Chaley. She has a ton of different loan programs, and she can find something that'll work for you. And right now, she's offering a free 30-minute consultation to help you get a game plan together to build your rental portfolio. If you want to take advantage of that, just go to ridgelendinggroup.com, NMLS 42056. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. Make sure you hit the follow button. I put out a new episode every single Tuesday. And if you're following the show, you'll get notified when the next episode comes out. My name is Dan Lane, and this has been the Rental Income Podcast.